Race number 7, this is a Class 4 contest, 1400 metres is the trip, and we also have a debutant involved here as well. Sonic Fighter heads them though, beaten favourite last time out behind Intrepid. Little Wise Man's been runner-up on his last 3 starts. Zach Purton jumps in the saddle. Young Power makes his debut. Cool Celeb, who's won over this trip, the 1200 metres on the all-weather in April. Gallant Legacy, 4th last time out, again in that Intrepid race. Tennessee Boss rolled forward off the inside gate last time, gets barrier 2 this time round, and Swat, a Windicator, close to a class drop. A maiden after 13 starts so far. Gets the inside gate here though, and Matthew Poon in the saddle. Young Power, Dragon Dance and Savvy 7 of the horses that headed north in the last month.
Good to slow the prediction here, and Dragon Dance is the obvious pacemaker out of all of these. He's a horse that sort of needs everything to go his right way, needs a bit of a soft leady. Potentially could get that. Legacy, Tennessee Boss, they tried to lead with him last time out. You've got Little Wise Man, he should be able to stalk the speed there in the centre. Winning Control is interesting because we've seen him go forward, but he's out there in the car park this time, Winning Control from that draw.
Yeah, you'd think he probably would press on with Joe riding. Little Wise Man will be hoping that he does and generate a little bit more speed. Up to 1400 metres, Zach Purton riding, just cruising through his work. Obviously his first 3 initial races were at Happy Valley, and then last start at Sha Tin. We'll take a look at that replay very shortly. Probably should have won. Fairy Floss, Martin Harley was aboard in this piece of work. And Paul has highlighted him a couple of times in track work as potentially a horse that might be on the improve. He'll go around at a big price. Savvy 7, he's drawn out in the car park, barrier 13. If you forget his last 2 and go on that second behind Chaparral Star at the Valley, he's a chance, but overall, he's been hard to find.
All right, that's Savvy 7. Let's start off though with Little Wise Man. And this is the run that we're talking about. Fortune Happiness runs 4th. Visiting jockey, Peter, this is Hong Kong Macau Day, so Peter Ho, the visiting jockey, was on board.
And right here it turns into a right horror show. He's cleaned up about 3 or 4 of them there. He sort of gets balanced up again. Keep an eye on Fortune Happiness as well, because that wasn't the worst of runs from him. He actually stayed on all right. But you can see him, he's charging out and after Glen Early Generals, a race where he's come up short and probably should have been closer.
The winner's a good horse. He's won 2 Glen Early Generals, and yes, I mean, we saw what happened there. He probably lost a length, maybe 2. He's going to be hard to stop. And I'm with you. I think Fortune Happiness completely poleaxed there. I'm going to sneak him into the tips. I think he deserves a chance.
All right, Little Wise Man had barrier 11 on that occasion as well. He comes up with barrier 4 and Zach Purton jumps on board. Gallant Legacy, Sonic Fighter and Fairy Floss, who we saw in track work.
Gallant Legacy actually sort of loomed up here. He's still quite green. Sonic Fighter got back and just didn't make any headway on this occasion. Sort of got to the outside. You can keep your eye on Gallant Legacy here. Shows some signs of greenness. He actually probably halted the momentum of Sonic Fighter. That's right, I forgot about that little bit. Both are interesting runners and worth a chance in this race, I think.
Was the best run from Gallant Legacy here. They've done a few gear changes. Michael Chang, crossover noseband off, shadow roll, tongue tie first time, so that might keep him on the straight and narrow.
See, Sonic Fighter picked himself up and got going again.
And that was one of those voyage horses in there too.
Yes, it was.
All right, that's Intrepid winning the race, so he might be given a bit of a clue earlier on. Now, this is Winning Controller, up on a hot speed here with Cool Celeb, who weekends out of it. He's had a couple of starts since, though, without doing much. He
was able to lead on this occasion, Winning Controller with Eddie Lai on board, and he had a good break here. You can see Splendour and Gold out wider, who eventually won this race. Joe Moreira picking up the ride here, though. Zach was on board last time out, wasn't really pressured in a recent barrier trial. He had an excuse last start as well with blood on the trachea, but this was his best performance for quite some time.
Yeah, I think as you've highlighted, if you overlook the run behind Royal Racer and then blood in the trachea last start, the 3rd placing was decent enough. Joe's had one ride on the horse for a win, so he's likely to roll forward. I haven't got him in the tips, but if you're playing the TT, you'd be brave to leave him out.
All right, OK. Probably be brave to leave Little Wise Man out at that sort of price as well, Brett.
Yeah, I think he's clearly the banker material here, Andrew, and probably should win. Sonic Fighter might give him the most to do. Fortune Happiness clearly had excuses in that replay we saw, and Gallant Legacy's got some ability. They're switching the gear around, shadow roll on, tongue tie on, still doing a few things wrong, but he has an engine. He goes in for 4th, and I will sneak in one more in that trio there, as you can see. Horse number 10, Diamond Legend. I think he's a little rough chance of finding the frame.
Two on top for me, a Little Wise Man. He's overdue when you look who beat him on his debut performance. It's Champions Way who goes round in the Lion Rock Trophy. Fortune Happiness goes in. Sonic Fighter, I've thrown him in. He got cleaned up in that race a couple of runs ago. And Gallant Legacy, it wasn't a bad run from him. So 2, 13, 1 and 8, but 2 the toughest to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 2 very hard to beat. I haven't found anything too far away from the norm there. 2 and 8 is my cue in race number 7.